Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Q&A for Pier Kids. My name is Cassandra Alston, and I am board president for the All Genders, Lifestyles, and Identities Film Festival. I want to thank Chester and Elegance for joining me today. So I want to first let you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves. Elegance, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Elegance Bratton, the writer-director of Pier Kids.
I'm Chester Algernon Gordon. I'm the producer of Pier Kids.
Thank you guys for being with us and joining the fest, and for sharing this beautiful story with us. I wanted to, let you know, Mr. Elegance, I'm a Jersey kid as well, per damn boy.
No way!
Yeah, I left when I was like 10 and we moved to Houston, but you know, that Jersey's still in me deep. So
It's like a nuclear waste.
It is though, and it reacts on its own, and you just got to like clean up the spill after. So I wanted to first ask. So tell us the inspiration and motivation behind doing this project and sharing the story.
Oh, sure. Well, first off, thank you so much for showing our film and connecting us to your wonderful audience, and thank you those who are watching, who watched the film as well. Yeah, so this movie comes directly out of my own experience. I spent 10 years of my life homeless for being gay because my mother kicked me out. And when, fast forward a bunch of years, I'd been in the military and used the GI Bill to go to Columbia University. And at the end of the first semester, some of, my fellow students, their families would show up to say goodbye to them. And I was taking summer courses, and one of my courses had given me this assignment to track a real social network. So between thinking to myself, like, what's home for me? Where do social networks happen in actual, like, physical space with people, you know? I was on the pier asking myself these questions, and then it made me think, like, oh, right, I came here when I was 16 in New Jersey. My mother kicked me out for being gay. And, oh, there's all these kids who look like me down here who are here probably for the same reason, in some version, their own version of the same reason. And I came to realize that home is where one is most deeply understood. And I wanted to make a film to show the world what that felt like.
That's beautiful. And you do give an inside look into a world that most people were not aware of. And especially since, 50 years after Stonewall, I like how you phrase that, because people forget. It's like almost people like fast forward and think, oh, everything's been amazing this whole time and that everything's fixed, when there are communities and subcultures that are overlooked and overly oppressed. So again, thank you. Chester, what about you in getting involved with the project?
I got involved in the project at the cutting stage and the reshoots. And
can you turn the volume up a little bit, Chester? It's hard to hear you.
I got involved with the project in the editing phase of the project. We had, I believe, 400 hours of footage, and we had a 14-minute cut that we had submitted to a lab to get in. So Elegance and I, we got a chalkboard wall. We painted one in our apartment, and
Right over there.
I had him write out the entire outline of the script according to all the events that he remembered at the time that all of the participants had gone through, and it worked. He did it, and we sent it over to the editor, and we had a cut, and we kept editing it, and it became Pier Kids.
How did you guys decide on going with Crystal and Deshawn as your focus?
Well, Crystal kind of decided that for me. She, about a month into filming, she turns to me and she's like, Elegance, if you're going to tell my story, then you have to be my friend. And I was like, huh? And she was like, yeah, you got to be my friend. Like, I'm out here by myself. I'm Black, I'm trans. I'm homeless and I need friends. I need people that'll look out for me. And I said, okay, sure, that seems fair. And from there, the style of the film was born. This idea of the first person perspective, which you hardly ever get to see in documentaries these days. Most of the times we're given, arguments, little academic books type films that are meant to give you things to say when people say things to you that are racist or homophobic or transphobic. And this film's approach really comes out of Crystal's directive.
How did you feel when you were with her at home with her mom and that exchange and growing up, being misgendered by her family, even after, just begging them to accept her? How did you feel being present and observing that? And what did you want the audience to see in that?
I felt triggered because it reminded me of moments with my own family that were, especially at that time in my life when I was very young, like 14, 15, 13, and you don't know what to say. And now I come to that experience after, again, homelessness, the Marine Corps, a first semester, or at that point, my second semester of Columbia University, where I was studying, African American studies and gender politics and all of these things. So to have the words for what was happening was just overwhelming in that moment. But luckily I had the mission to tell, Crystal's story. So that kind of kept me tethered to the moment. But as far as how I was feeling, I felt like, this was a conversation I didn't even get to have with my family. Because Crystal, by the time she has this conversation in the movie, well, I don't want to age her because she would literally beat me up. But what I will say is she was, a full adult. She had been responsible for herself when she had this conversation. And I noticed the difference in how that conversation went and the grace and, just the generosity of spirit that Crystal approaches that situation with, while also holding on to her truth and the patience that she shows. I was very proud of her and very proud to be in a rainbow with her. I was very proud of her.
And I also, so when you said triggered about, having that confrontation with family or having that, it's something that I feel like every queer person growing up fears, right? Like, or wants, like, we don't know exactly how the family will react. And then when they do, it's not just that one time, like we all know, but the straight world doesn't fully know. It's not just that one conversation. By the way, hey, this is who I am. It, like, for me personally, it took 5 years for my parents to finally fully accept me as a lesbian I was coming out of college. It took all of that back and forth. I also was like, I'm straight, I'm bi, I'm gay, I'm bi, I'm gay, I'm straight, to try to like appease so I could survive. And to watch, like you said, her hold like a different phase, hold on to what she like knows is her truth, but try to be respectful. When you get to a certain age, it allows you that freedom to say, okay, you can feel and say what you want, but I take care of myself and I'm going to live my life and you can't tell me how I'm going to present. So thank you for exposing people to that, because there's a beauty in us being able to stand up strong for our stories and to stand up to those that help create us and tell them, you don't control me. I do.
I mean, it takes so much time to get there. Whenever it happens, it feels like forever. And, it's taken forever. So yeah, I'm really proud of Crystal. I'm really grateful to Crystal.
Chester, what were you most surprised about by working on this project and watching these stories?
I was most surprised by their will to keep going, to keep living. because it's so easy to just like, you know, give up and throw in a towel and say, you know, no more. Like so, like the guy who jumped off the pier, you know, because of, you know, he was tired, and you know, it's really hard living outside, like someone says in the film, and I can't imagine, you know, having to do that for such a long time. So, you know, these moments where Deshaun, like, you know, he's in his friend's house and he's just gone and gotten some food so he can survive at his friend's house and offer something to his friend's house, you know, is a moment that touched me because of, like, you know, that's his currency in that moment, what he knows, how he knows how to survive, essentially.
That's different. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
No,
but it's also safety as well, right? That's like a relationship where all he has to do is have some food, you know, and do a little housework, hang out somewhere where he can sleep and be safe.
Yeah.
You know.
And so how do you guys, or do you know how COVID, the current situation we're all going through, has impacted that community?
I don't know. It's like I have friends. Like I'm aware on social media, and I talk to friends. I keep up with people from the film and other films that I've done in this community. I mean, it's not good. It's tough to tell. Like, this is America, you know what I mean? So no matter how bad anything is, there's always a market, right? There's always a place where you can there's supply and demand, you know? So to a certain extent, I think for some people, it's probably money-wise not that bad, because if you're willing to take the risk to meet people, right, in various economies, you know what I mean? You know, I'm sure you you can charge a pretty nice penny
Right now, yeah.
if you wanted to, but then there's a bunch of people who are terrified.
Mm-hmm.
So for those people who are engaged in sex work, you know, I'm sure this is a bad time. But I don't know. It's like for Black people, I always tell people, you know, for me, it's
in the community aspect too, and not having balls. I think they just started doing them again.
Yeah.
I think they just started having balls again too. So,
Yeah.
you know, so there's been, like, you know, a pause on, you know, that type of socializing, and it's been like online and Zooms a little bit, but not really, you know, because you can't.
It's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, to be there and have that pulse under you.
It's, you know, that's so true. I'm so happy you said that. Like, it's really good. But yeah, like, you know, it's for me, it's been COVID-19 since I was 19. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think I consider myself to be a Pier Kid. So, you know, I have been dealing with all sorts of intersecting crises since I really can remember, to this very moment. So I don't want to disregard people's, I don't want to come across that I'm disregarding anyone's trauma or fear of the moment, but what I can say, what I've learned from this community, being a part of this community, is you just kind of have to decide to continue regardless of all that is against you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, as I know this community does that, we're going to all figure it out.
Yes, we will. And I only giggle. I giggled because in my brain it went pandemic, apocalypse, Twilight Zone, never ending, like D movie that you said that plot is not plausible, but we're all living it at the same time.
Right. Yeah. But I've been living in this for so long. It's like, for me, Trump being president just provides like an embodiment of the intersectional assault that I've been under my whole life as a Black gay man. Trump COVID now is a virus. Now you can look in a microscope and see the thing that represents the general sense of just the fear and the strangeness. Like George Floyd, you know, this man had his knee to this man's neck in front of a camera, looking into the camera.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
without flinching, without hesitation.
And that has been happening since way before COVID. So I don't want, again, it's not about minimizing COVID, but it is to say, like, we have so much that we have to deal with as people of color who are queer, whatever you're, a woman, disabled, you know, whatever your particular form of oppression or combinations of oppressions are, we have to deal with this. And because we deal with this, we're strong enough to get through this because we've been getting through it this whole time. So that's what I know to be true of my community.
Yes, because survival mode has always been the mode.
Yes.
And that's what we're all in right now. So it's like you like the community has had a masterclass already on how you navigate this, but COVID itself, like you said, it's an actual virus, we could see it, and now, but it's exposing the weakness, the racism, the inequity in every system that has been in place in this country and worldwide, and
just
how
like HIV, just like HIV, you know what I mean? It's like, that's why, to a certain extent, like I'm not entirely pressed, because I've known since the making of Pier Kids, many of the people who are on screen died of AIDS before the age of 30.
really?
Like, yes, Cheetah did. A couple other people as well. I don't want to put everybody's tea out because I know people, you know what I'm saying? But Cheetah admitted that to me, said I could talk about it. I ran it, last time I saw Cheetah was in 2015. 2015, before we shot Walk For Me, which also won this festival. So that, thank you, aGLIFF, for the love. But yeah, you know, we were outside. It's the night we casted Aaliyah in that movie. We're outside of Esquilitas waiting for Vogue Nights, which was closed. Now we've been pushed out of that venue, right? And here, I walk down the street and I see Cheetah, and he's 28 years old, covered in Kaposi sarcoma lesions. And it's like 2015. I know people who have tuberculosis out here, you know what I'm saying? Like, the illusion of safety. There's a part of me that feels seen because now everybody's afraid of everything. Everybody's pissed off of everything. So now we're all on the same page, finally. You know?
Everyone's equally at risk for this thing. Yeah. And it's like, all right, now you get it. Y'all see what's been happening? I mean, and actually so Jim Brunzell, I never say Jim's last name right, artistic director, he said that Brunzell is how you say it. Okay. Brunzell. He said, I wish Chester and Elegance could have attended aGLIFF, as Elegance previously won a short film jury prize. Did you know that? Yeah. Okay. Have you been keeping in touch with your subjects, which I know you kind of met a couple of, and then he also said, we love you. But overall, have you been keeping in contact with all of the subjects?
Do you want to say it? Yeah. Overall, like, you know, we don't call people subjects in our film.
Okay.
Participants, because, you know, without them, none of this would be possible. Mm-hmm. So I want to thank them all, you know, Crystal, Deshawn, Casper, Anaya, Cheetah, everybody. Thank you so much for being in the film, and thank you again for the wonderful support. Yeah, I talk to people. I'm on Facebook, you know, social media, Instagram. When the balls are happening again, I'll be going to balls. We've got a new show we're working on, set in that world. So, you know, of course, this is my community. These are my friends. I talk to them often. You know, even when I'm not talking to them, I think about them every day. You know, like, this is the weird part of it is like, I've seen so much, like, back this COVID thing, you know, HIV. I've seen so many people die of HIV so young that sometimes it feels like there's like this instant reincarnation happening, right? Where like people you love them so much and then they're gone, and then you give it a couple of years and here comes another. It's not necessarily that person, but it's another just similar energy, and you're like, okay, the community as whole. I feel like all of us in this kind of rainbow thing, we're all just kind of standing in the footprints of our ancestors, you know, so on their shoulders, you know?
Yes, we are. And you know, and I think it would be sad, like whenever I think that was Deshaun, we talked about that he contemplated getting HIV just so that he could get services from.
Yes.
Like, is that still an ongoing conversation or a debate? Like,
He's incarcerated right now.
Yeah, that we know of. The last we've heard, Deshaun stopped talking to me because he was mad at how long it took me to get the film done. And I get it. I was mad at myself. I'm still kind of, well, I'm not. I'm cool now. It's cool now. But, you know, I got pretty upset with myself over it, too. So I totally understand. You got upset with me as well. But, you know, yeah, for what we know from now, he's incarcerated. And this is the thing. Life is, Casper in this film, you know, shows us life is precious and fast. It's over before you know it. So this population is at risk. Living outside puts you at risk. This is why the gay rights movement needs to mobilize behind this issue and figure out how to do something about it that creates a future for us as a community.
mm-hmm.
You know, the kids are the future, and more than half of them who are homeless are LGBTQ youth of color, and 40% of them are LGBTQ overall.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a huge issue. So many of us have been through this, you know?
What do you think is one of the things or one of the tools that should be used in order to help get assistance to this population?
I think at this stage, I'm a pragmatist in my life. You know, you take care of your own. If I eat, my people eat kind of mentality, you know? So I think our celebrities, people like RuPaul, people like the way Oprah did in Africa,
mm-hmm.
need our prominent LGBTQ figures to do that. I'm creating an organization once we sell this movie with the proceeds to create a pathway for kids off the pier into, I just want them to go to college for anything. I don't even really care what it is, but I'm going to use art as a way to make that possible for them, because they're all such brilliant artists. Like, everybody's a brilliant artist. Everybody's got something to offer creatively to the world. But yeah, it's like with all of this, all of us out here in these streets, we need the people who have the ears of power, who are in the halls of power, to use everything they've got, including their own money,
mm-hmm.
to house and educate their youth. And if they do that, I believe these kids will start a movement that will be able to bring it to the larger structure. But it needs that kind of care. It's like, what I want people to feel like in this movie is a peer kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is a peer kid. What I got that helped change my life was support. And it was personal, way more personal than it ever was systemic, you know? And that needs to change, but I think it changes at the personal level. Like, we need to be able to help these children in a way that allows them to be children and prioritizes their value and potential.
And we have 4 minutes about left, but I did want to ask, because you mentioned, you know, Deshaun is incarcerated right now. I wanted to address the police portion of the film and the interaction with the kids, and then also what's going on today.
Yeah. So when you're on the pier, at a certain time, you can't be there anymore. And also, most of the pier is no longer, it's just the pier. It's like the restaurant, and it's a restaurant there, an expensive restaurant. It's also a gentrified neighborhood, so it's mostly white families with young babies and joggers, and then gay white men that live down the street, but, you know, like really rich ones. But
who should start schools?
But, you know, it's not as safe as a space as it used to be. You know, like when there's like thousands and hundreds of them there at a time, it becomes a bit more safer than it is when it's not so many of them, because of how that area is now policed and that property is now protected because the value of it has been raised because of the people who live in the neighborhood.
Right.
essentially.
Like gentrification is like a code word for ethnic cleansing. It means clearing space of those who lack value so that property can gain value. And police's main job in Christopher Street is to maintain the property value, or at least I hope it's changing. I don't know what's going on systemically. Maybe that's another film to do. Like how do the police learn how to be better? But in my experience, they just, like Chester said, they're as much predators as any John in a car.
Yeah. And that, I can say that for me, not being a sex worker. I feel like as soon as I see a cop, I'm like, oh no, wait, we good? I'm going this way. You go that way.
Yes. Every time. That's why the movie is the way it is. It's first person, like everything you said, I do too. And the camera does it in this movie, right? It's like, here's a cop, okay, boom, back to what we were talking about.
Because you have to assess. You have to be threat level 5 to no. Okay, you just walking. All right, good. We good. All right. My anxiety level can now try to reduce until I no longer see you in my line of sight.
Exactly. Right. Until you exactly. When you're gone, I see you because I know you see me. Because you're going to see me, really.
Seeing me, see you, see me.
Right.
But yes, and hopefully there are, because of projects like this and everyone sharing their stories, I really do hope, and I feel like things are starting to change within police departments, within organizations, because we've all been exposed to the true brokenness of the system and of the society that was built on supposedly the American values, which don't make sense. It's not built for all of us. And so now I feel like we will be able to address the root causes of the issues, and change it to make it better for all of us as we move forward.
Unless they want the smoke.
Say again?
Unless they want the smoke.
Unless they want the smoke, and then there'll be fire. Well, thank you. We are at times. Thank you so much. I did want to let you know, Bears Rebecca, our board secretary, was the one that said, "We love you," and thank you. So we really appreciate all your time and effort for sharing your work with us, and please continue to share work and stories because we want to hear them.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Be safe.
You as well.
Black trans
Bye,
lives.
y'all.